All right, here we go. Starting a minute early. What's happening, everybody? Welcome to Track Feedback. I'm Steve Knotts. You're in the Mixatecture, YouTube channel. And you're looking at our Discord server. So thanks for being here. Let me make sure that stream is up. There we go. Cool. And we're listening to a little Mindbender in the background. So the first thing I want to do when I start off is just introduce a couple of new spots on the Discord server. The link is right below in the YouTube description. So if you need to join us on Discord, that's the link you click. And you're going to come in and see new members, a place to introduce yourself and let us know your producer name, what kind of music you make, where you're at, what time zone. Just say hi so we can get to know you a little bit. That's what you do if you're joining right now. And for new people, there is a channel called Free Feedback. So along the side of Discord, all these different titles are channels where you can have a thread, comments, posts, all that kind of stuff. We have a new post or a new channel called Free Feedback where you can drop a link and get a taste of our track feedback process using written timestamps, comments, even a change log where you tell us what you updated. And these are a lot of fun. So we're going to play one of these from today to just give our friend Christian, if you care, a little feedback on a deep organic house type track. And we have some new releases from Melvis and Mindbender. I'm going to play those in just a second. One of them is right here. This came through Track Feedback earlier in the year. It's a great release. Sounds really, really good. And we have a really cool new channel called 16 Bar Loops. Now, what this is a lot of times you have a new idea, and on the day you create that track, you're so excited to just share the basic birth of the track that you want a place to put it, show it to people, let us know what's happening, and say, look, I made a track. What do you think? And it's like, it's so early that clearly there's no song structure yet. It's not built out into the arrangement. The mix is rough too, but you might have just had a really wild sound design session, and you want to share your sounds, your bass line, your beats, the tempo, the feel, right? You just want to share the feel. Well, we have a channel called 16 Bar Loops that's available for you to share your rough sketches or your live jams. And there's a jam from our friend Levy Mudhouse, Slackhouse. So I'm going to show you that on video to give you an idea of how you can stretch the container of performing. Maybe you want to do a DAWless jam or show Ableton Push with some guitar effects pedals or something. And this is a place where you can share that kind of stuff where maybe you don't want technical mix feedback. You just want to say something like, how's my setup? Does this stream work? Could I do this on Twitch or whatever? It's almost like maybe like a live performance testing stream. So anyway, that's available for you if you want to check that out. Let me say hi. Thanks for coming in, and special thanks to our moderators. We got Sheppers, we got AFL in the house, Matt Schultz, Tim Laws. Oh, so cool, so cool. Paul Robinson, all you people. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, it's like 8 a.m. my time, and it's evening for you guys. But it's kind of nice that it's 12 hours away. You know, that's actually easier than a 3-hour block sometimes. You know what I mean? So what am I talking about? We got a lot of other channels for all the track feedback, and I cannot play every single track like I used to do. But today what I'm going to do is show you a couple new releases, a couple of first versions, and then a couple of tracks that we think are done with a little before and after comparison. If it's a first draft, I'll try to give you notes on what I hear as a problem that could be fixed and use that as a lesson everybody could learn from who's watching in replay land. And if it's a final version or a really good version or a new release, what I wanted to do is just shout out the people, let them know they did a great job, and possibly pull out some examples of what you could do in your tracks that's working. So if we hear an amazing buildup, we might play it 4 times and ask, what are the sounds? Why does that buildup feel so good? How did they do that? And what's the recipe that we can extract and use it as an example for other people to do as positive things in their track? So that's my kind of idea for the show today. Got a little bit more than an hour. Got a little more time because the daylight savings time shifted, which is awesome. So first up, track called... I got a tab open with... I got another tab open somewhere. I gotta find this. So that's my kind of idea for the show today. Sorry about that. There's my time zone checker. Okay, first thing is we're listening to a track called Livin' For Today from our friend Martin Mindbender, and this is coming out, I think, on When Disco Goes Wrong Records. You heard it in the intro. It's an amazing song with this great vocal. It's not over. I'm living for today. 'Cause it's not over. Really great track, kind of in the acid style. And let's morph right over to the Melvis and Mindbender Experience, a track called In Flight. This is a collaboration between 2 people in the group, It sounds amazing. I made a note earlier. It sounds like kind of like that more Chiba 90s trip hop vibe. Hey, Scott's here. What's happening? I got a track from you for later. So we're looking at the YouTube preview of the track called In Flight that's on Nelvis and Mindbender Experience. They're starting their own label for this project, which is cool. And this track is up right now on Spotify and Deezer. You can go to DistroKid, grab that link from the replay. And this is also, the link is in the new releases channel on Discord, so don't worry about trying to memorize that link right now. Amazing vibe. These two. Yeah, a great track is one where you read the title, it reminds you of the words in the chorus, and the words remind you of the melody, and then you have the song stuck in your head, even without hearing it. That's what's been happening to me. Now, I hate to pause the track and stop the music. I just wanted to give a shout out for a great production and move on to some other things. So let's start off with a track from our free feedback channel. This is from Fiker. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Coming out of Switzerland with some organic house. Thanks for being here, everybody. We are going to do some Saturday feedback streams. Not today, not tomorrow, but those are going to happen too. All right, nice stereo field on the intro. Let's get our spectrum analyzer up. Big kick drum. Might be some space to EQ that down around 160. That low mid range of the kick sometimes can make it kind of like bloof, bloof, bloof. Oh, Paul already said this track has a great flow to it. I like the reverb on the drums. And for a 7-minute track, I don't think we're going to play through the whole entire thing. I want to catch the vibe, go through a little bit of the sections, and then see where it ends up. Just going to check my broadcast level, turn up my headphones. How's the music level? Give me a yes or no on the music. Is that loud enough? Do you want the track louder or whatever? Just make sure that's all right. All right, Ian Waters listening out on the way home. I know you've been crazy with that job project. It's interesting hearing about it. AFL, good comment. Floaty synth pad. That's definitely like your dreamy style. Christian, I like the flow so far. I like that bass line coming in. That was a nice way to introduce the track. Wait for the bass line. Now we're in a build up. There's a riser coming in. Nice stereo motion. The white noise. Nick Lavely, thank you. Level's good. Okay, this track feels good. Mix-wise, I think maybe the synth chord. Ooh. That floaty, dreamy background one is a little bit quiet. And in a club, it would sound good. The kick is huge. Some of the details of the mid-range instruments could maybe come up a little bit louder. Not a crisis, just an impression. Great sound design right here. Wow, wow, wow. I like that introduction to the vocal. It's a nice time for that to happen. Feels like it's happening all at the right time, so the structure is really good. Turn off my phone. Yeah, hand percussion, kind of subtle build-up. Ah, Ben is here, all right.
President of the General Assembly.
I would cut the snare drum right here. Let us really hear that vocal.
Executive Director of UN Women.
Nice harmonies. Ba-da. Okay, good. I like it when the percussion drops out in the breakdowns and lets us really enjoy the sound that I'm talking over. Okay, Scott, you're saying the break is too soon. Yeah, we're 4 minutes in. That's a good comment. That might have been a bit of a long break right when we were getting exciting. Let's check out what are the elements happening before that breakdown. It's been building up, layering. The bass line came in, the vocal came in, the percussion's layered up, nice reverb on the drums.
President of the General Assembly.
So at 3 minutes, it goes into like that big build up. Now it comes back in with no snare drum sound. Hi-hat. I like those double bumps on the kick drum. And now the snare is back in. So it's got a chill pace. I can flow with that arrangement. I don't think that's a problem for me. It does feel like we were in a good groove and there was a long breakdown, but I think it's working. Okay, Matt, good point. You got to listen to the whole thing. If you're skipping around, you're not going to feel the arrangement properly. That's probably the hardest thing about making music for me is understanding the flow when I've heard it so many times and I'm looping little sections. I really like this lead sound. It's like a piano melody kind of thing. That's great to introduce a new element like in the last third of the track to keep it exciting and fresh here. I like how I can hear the bass line popping up down here around 90 hertz or something. Feels like the bass line notes are distinct from the kick drum. And we're cruising through. So I guess in the mix, maybe the kick drum and bass, you know, this could use some mastering to get the low end really tight, get the mid-range up a little bit louder. Percussion is good, but I think the mid-range instruments are just the basic thing that I would like a little bit more present in the front. Let's see how we get out to the ending. I like the sound design a lot. The risers are unique. That kind of droning like wow, wow, wow. Right here, that pulse. My Nemesis 1.6K. And a nice long tail on the fade out. Cool. All right. That track is playable right now. You could put that on in a mix set and just adjust the DJ mixer to make it sound good in that room. Definitely would benefit from mastering. And I'm not going to make any hardcore notes on what needs to change. I did feel like the claps could have gotten cut out of that first breakdown around 3 minutes right here to let us like float with the sounds more. Morton saying huge sound, totally got the vibe, little better balance, and it's perfect. Yeah, that's a great track. Thanks for bringing it to us, Christian, and we want to hear more from you with an update. Now, here's Tice with the live jams. I'm not gonna review this like a track for feedback. I just want to show an illustration of what you can do in the 16-bar loop channel to show your live jams. And I encourage everybody to set up your phone, record your studio sessions, show us what it's like in your room and what it's like when you're jamming. I just want to see it. He built these bass traps by himself. Those eyeballs are custom bass traps in the corners that he built. Nice desk, curved monitor. I like that over-the-shoulder camera viewpoint. Okay, there comes the 808 clone with the kick. Everything is nice and in reach too. It's like you can get your hands on all the different pieces easily. The Logitech keyboard. Got the APC. Looks like a mouse pad with some music theory key signatures on there. That's cool. That's like a pretty much like a DAW-less jam coming through with some Ableton stuff happening. So I realize not everybody wants to share their studio world and show themselves on camera having a jam, but when you do and you have purple lights and a nice layout and a camera up overhead, that's a nice thing to share for live jams and get some feedback on what you're doing. And actually, you know what I would love from this is for somebody to comment and say, this is super cool. I listened to the whole thing. Make the next one 30 minutes, put up a live set. I want to see it. And then 3 months later, they're like, oh, we want to book you for a show to play this based on your videos. That's kind of the path I see for that. So that's why I'm pointing it out. Because there's Twitch streamers making a career on Twitch. Okay. Last comment for Christian. The pace on that track is like a vibe for like early in the night, where it starts off with this floaty ambient vibe. You get the thump, you get the BPM, you know you're in that world, but it's not a strobe light banger. It's like a leading into a deep zone, which is totally cool. Also works for late night. And if you're getting horizontal with somebody you really like in the dark, it can work for that vibe too. Okay, AFL coming in with a remix contest. This says version 3, but it's the first time we're reviewing it. Kicking it loud, whoa.
Looking at my gray hairs and laugh. This rite's been so amazing. Still got my fam, I'm so blessed. Sending crazy memes to my friends. Do what I love without depth. My favorite.
All right, I got the tempo, I got the vibe. Good vocals.
It's been a long way, but I'm okay. Nothing to change. Just another day.
I like that hand percussion. Bringing down the broadcast level just a little bit. Okay, I gotta stop right here. There's a melody that's coming through that sounds like really piercing, like bells sound. It's like almost like a whistle. I noticed it coming right over here, and I think it was actually too high. Hold on. You hear that high-pitched thing? I see it spiking up right there at 6K. I would shift that lead an octave lower. I think it's too high. It's got like an ear-piercing quality to it and like a whistle. Yeah, when I first heard that lead sound, it stuck out in my ear as really noticeable and kind of too high. So there's two things I would do for this to fix that situation. Number one, shift it an octave lower with the MIDI notes or the synth oscillator. Just go -1 or whatever, -12 on the MIDI notes. Or make the duration shorter and make it like a little blip, like beep, 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 beep. Like, so it's a shorter duration that you hear it and it gets your attention, but it doesn't go long. Okay, John, think it's from the strings. It's almost like fingernails on a chalkboard. It's not that bad, but it's like, ee, and like, ooh. And well, let's see where we go. I agree on the other comments. It sounds super clean, sounds pro. It's not over compressed. The strings sound good here. It sounds like a theme. The vocal stems are good. I've been feeling myself, and it's so amazing. Oh, check this changelog. I love that. Track spacer. All right. Now, I said I'm going to pull out some production recipes. So here's the question for everybody out there in replay land. What did he do to get out of the breakdown and introduce the drop? So you know it's coming. You're ready for it. Your dancers can be on the upbeat right before the drop hits, so they hit on the downbeat. You need the signals to let people know what's coming, right? So what did we do here? We got the vocal. We got some claps. Got a riser thing happening. Speed up the claps. bass line. Okay, so the claps went on that thing where it goes dot 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 dot, where you're doubling the rhythm or the rhythmic speed of the claps. So that's one thing that's a signal. Then there's a riser coming up in pitch and getting a higher frequency. But my favorite thing is the bass line comes in with that doop 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 doop, and then you know the beats are going to drop. So one more time. Right here. And then it drops on the lyrics. So amazing. Boom. So perfect build up. That was so natural and smooth. That was like what you get on the radio. You just know you're going to get it. I think you nailed it with the liquid vibe too. It's got the lyrics, that dreamy thing, the soft floating vibe. And the beats are hard and the bass is hard underneath. It's perfect. All right, hold on. .305, there's a little bit of a trumpet fill. Boo-doo-doo-doo-doop. That could be a lot brighter, louder, brassier, just louder. I actually heard it on the left ear, but make that trumpet louder. It's a little detail, but it'll sound nice. Yeah, low end is feeling good. It's got that good feel vibe. Okay. So if I had this to work with as a 2-track mix, I would probably get some notch EQ with like a, a dynamic EQ, like a sidechaining kind of thing, and pull out those spike frequencies with notch filters. If I had no other choice, I would use some little notch filters on those. Other than that, nothing wrong with this one. It's amazing. And how do we get out of this track? That fade out is a little bit short. Feels like the sustain dies down quicker than I expected. That last chord that goes bum ba bum bum. Could you hold that chord for a longer sustain? So what frequency range is that? It's down to 2.6, 3K, 1.8. So that frequency range is in the upper part of the mid-range. That's exactly where our ears are most sensitive, 3000 hertz. So look at the spikes above 1.5 and up to 6K. And there's like 3 or 4 of them in that place. That's the upper end of the mid-range is where things can get a little bit like a dog whistle and you're like, ah. But anyway, claps on that one. That's a really enjoyable track. Nice and dreamy, fits the liquid DNB vibe. I like it that the vocal is presented really well, and it's actually kind of hard to make heavy beats, loud bass line, and have the vocal feel like the vocal is loud and have all those things sit together properly. So that's nicely done, and you did not do that mistake of hitting the mix with a multiband compressor and just squashing the whole thing to death. It's got that bounce, it's got dynamics, it has like a living feel, it just feels natural. So really nice job on that one. I hate to rush it, but let's keep moving on. So Nick Lavallee, this is another DNB track, brand new. And let's see what it sounds like. EQ flat. All right. bringing it in kind of creepy. All right, I heard some heavy side chaining right there. Hold on. Okay, so right at like 45, 44 seconds, there's a huge low bass beat, which is cool. But what I noticed was the synth world just really dropped out kind of too much and stopped. So my ear was open and attuned to that synth thing that's been happening the whole time. And I think the side chaining was a little too deep because you want to hear the bass, but it shouldn't be such a dramatic thing where the part of the intro disappears. That bass beat was cool at 39 because the synth stayed loud. That one for me at 45 seconds, there was too much of a volume drop on the mid-range synths. So basically less deep threshold, raise the threshold on your sidechain compressor for that. Oh, that was on purpose. Okay, creative decision. I like the little clicky things in the background. It almost sounds like water droplets, a little bit glitchy. It's like... Okay, you guys are disagreeing with me on the sidechain. All right. This is the Amon Tobin reference. And here we go. When that kick drum comes in, I feel the space for a heavy snare drum. Maybe we're still building though. There comes the snap. I want that snare drum louder. I really need to hear that cracking because the bass is so aggressive. Meow. Yeah, let me go back. I like this part where the snare is fading in. It's like creeping and coming at you, but when it hits, it's got to be like pop, like really loud. 204, right there, I expected the snare. A little bit of a false drop is okay, but by 207, it needs to be loud right here. Pop, pop, pop. Yeah, that bass is grimy. Amazing technical production. There's a lot of detail in here. A little bit of EQ on the top. I'm gonna look for that snare frequency. You can hear right there when I was boosting the mid-range, the first thing I noticed is that the buzz on the bass line got louder. So the high frequencies in your bass line are kind of masking the snare, which means your snare needs to get cracking a little bit more. And honestly, you could take a little bit of crunch off the top of that bass line. You could EQ the bass line down a little bit to make space for the snare to come through. Yeah, great sound design. Let's hear how we get back out of this break. This snare is totally different and much more accurate in the mix, or clear in the mix. And that snare has a big root at 200 hertz right there. Nice ending section. Wow. Yeah, Tim, this sounds like some of the sounds you've been using in your bassline house. I like that high frequency wispy sound coming down, the white noise. This part's amazing, the synths, the percussion, the stereo field. A lot of layers, but it doesn't feel crowded, it's like simple. All right, Paul, happy pizza. Yeah, chord progressions are great. So Nick, this is really not bad at all. A little bit like more snare drum volume, possibly get the snare drum coming in sooner, around 2 minutes, so that it really hits us heavily, you know? Ridiculous quality. Yeah, that is super great. And you might want to get a little bit of the high frequencies down on the bass line so that it's not always wide open and buzzy on the top. Like modulate that, put like a separate auto filter after the whole bass line, and then ride that auto filter frequency and automate that so that you can manually have the bass line open up at dramatic parts and then fade down a little bit. Might be fun, but this track is so good. I'm suggesting a couple creative things for my own idea of what I would do with sound design. The main thing is get the snare drum louder right here. All those growls are awesome. I especially like all the little clicky fast things in between the percussion, because with drum and bass, those double hits are hard to create, and really the micro timing and frequency on those is so important. And when you get it right, you get that real like jungle sound of like clacky kind of thing. So that's super cool. Keep it going with that. Let's hear like another version could be done. Now, Randy Adams, new track. We're going to shift into the deep house world and hit a couple things and some techno and some other beats. 8:30, basically right on time. Oh, AFL, John, maybe use the same snare as after the second break. That's an interesting suggestion. Maybe you could try layering your snares or just using that same snare. Or what am I saying? Keep the snare the way you have it in the beginning and take the second snare drum from the ending and just layer it on top for that big, heavy hit on the 2 and 4 beat on the backbeat. Like that. All right, Randy Adams, Propulsion. EQ flat. Headphones up. I like the loop. Ba, 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 ba. That's a nice rhythm that you know is going to keep going, and it's kind of hypnotic. Pushes and pulls against the beat. Da, 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 boo, ah. Beats are a little dry. Might want to play with some reverb on here. Let me try this. That was me with a little bit of reverb right here. There's the drums dry. And here's some reverb coming in. In, out. drum reverb should be so subtle you don't notice it, obviously, but when it's gone, you feel like it's gone. Nice hi-hat coming in right there. I started doing this with my hands. Good layering, building up really nicely, totally in the flow. Structure is perfect. Little hand percussion coming in. DJ Waters wants it harder when he's driving. Yeah, man. This little sound could even be louder. Ooh, what's happening now? New sound coming in. Ooh, da, ooh, ba. Okay, that new sound also could be louder. So that's two synth sounds where you have space to make them louder because the kick and bass are really big. The drum high frequencies are big. This middle area from like 700 and up could be louder. There we go. Now that sound is opening up, getting louder. That's great. This track is amazing. Sometimes we hear tracks from Randy where it's like two different ideas jammed together into one song, but this time it's really fluid. The opening was awesome. Now we're in this middle section. I kind of hope it returns to that opening theme, so we have like an A-B-A structure. Drum programming's awesome. Okay. I'm going to talk about hi-hats in the breakdown. I say this all the time, but it's the most common thing that people can do differently. So right when the kick drum dropped out, when the hi-hats keep going, I expect the kick drum to come back after like 2 bars. Okay. So let me just act that out for you. Okay. Here's before that breakdown. Because it works really well to cut the kick drum out for 2 bars or 1 bar. Shepherds does it all the time. It works really well. Here's what I'm expecting. 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. Boom, boom, boom. Like if you keep the hi-hats going, people kind of expect the kick drum to come back in right away. And if you don't get the kick drum and you're in a breakdown and the hi-hats are going on, it can be like, oh, well, what happened, you know? Maybe the hi-hats will drop out in a second. Tim, good ear with the pitch shift on that synth. A little bent. Okay, there we go. The hi-hats dropped out. And it's back in. I really like this place where the synth is doing this swimmy stereo field right here. That sound is so cool. I get much more into the sounds when the drums are gone. So for breakdowns, emphasize the unique part. So take the unique part is the synth. We've heard a closed hi-hat, open hi-hat a million times. We have not heard this synth a million times. So when you're in a breakdown, identify, this is the recipe for everybody watching. When you're in a breakdown, ask the question, what is the most unique sound in this breakdown? And then take that sound and push it up louder. And anything that's really repetitive, like a closed hi-hat or something, just fade it down, pull it back, get it out of the way so we can float on that unique sound and really absorb like the nuances of that crazy sound design you spent 2 hours on. And then when the beats come back in, they hit harder. Nice sound on that bass. And back in. So that's a production tip that I'm not going to say Randy's doing it wrong because it works in this track, but I wanted to tell everybody something they can do with their own track to show off the sound design and let people hear your cool ideas in the breakdown. Yeah, Tim, I was wondering also if that initial opening stab synth is going to come back. Let's just review. What was that synth sound? Yeah. Bop, 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 bop. Let's go to the ending and imagine how that would sound. Bop, 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 bop. Would that work on top? Yeah, this part is really working. Scott, I think you were talking about like the 5-minute section right here. This is some of my favorite kind of music to dance to. It's like in between house and a little bit of like a techie repetitive thing. I guess you could just call it deep house. I like the drum rhythm. So Randy, really nice vibe. This one is playable. You could put this on, put it in a mix set right away. It's gonna sound good. I'm trying to give some creative ideas of what I would do a little differently. Pull out a recipe that just tells people why I'm giving you that advice. Those are cool. Wait a minute. The coolest sound is at the end? So that's part of the synth. Sounds like a filter rolled up. That was interesting. You could do that thing earlier. But anyway, good job. Great sound design. Totally fits the deep house genre and nails it. And you could put that up for mastering, honestly. It's version 1, but there were some places I wanted the synths a little louder before they opened up and filled the space. So let's keep moving on. Nice one, Randy. Now we're going to play something from Ben Spencer. And he was asking for some reference tracks on what to compare this to. And let me check the Discord notes again. So I got EQ flat, broadcast level up. Nice mix. That's coming in cracking. All right, Tim, thanks for hanging out. Yeah, John, throwing in something at the end is a nice surprise. I like to play with effects tails and feedback at the end like that. That is a fast bass line. Oh, Scott Berg with a DDR recommendation. Trauma Machine. Sounds great. Tight percussion. And I know Ben Spencer and I just had a conversation about finishing a lot of tracks. What if you have an idea every day? What if you do 20 tracks in a month? How do you take your opening idea and have the techniques in place to just get it done right away so it's ready to play? Good sound selection, I agree. Check this hand percussion. Little pitch shift happening here. Pitching it up. 1 minute tracks. Matt Schultz, nice references. I'm going to pull back and mention the kick drum rhythm. How does the rhythm come in when the kick hits? There's a synth that goes bounce, 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 and then the kick drum answers ba-da-da-da. Boom, and then it drops. was a nice, it wasn't like a kick drum roll, and it wasn't like that. Like earlier, we heard the claps that go dot 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 dot, and it speeds up like predictably in double rhythms. This one is different. It had a little gap. Just basic rhythm works really well. It almost doesn't matter what sound you're using. That's like a fun drop. It has like a call and response kind of a thing. Oh, now the bass line kind of slowed down. Really clean mix. Bass is clean, kick drum is great. Some of the wood block is a little bit sharp, piercing. I'm gonna call that 2.4, 2.5K. The wood block has a little bit of like a chirp. Shepherd's good tip. For a bigger impact, the double or triple kick drums right before the drop, make it like a dB lower in volume and then full volume at the drop. That's a good tip. Another one. All right, Ben, I don't have any real production tips. Maybe a little EQ on that wood block. This track sounds done to me, and there's some good references there. Hein Music. I was thinking of Mode Selector. I don't know why. I don't have a specific track reference, but something about the no lyrics, deep bass, but fast, and some synth stabs. This one fades out. And cutting the kick drum. Yeah, and we did talk about that one last week. I like to play things. Really shout out the good stuff that's working. Okay. Canada version 2.3. The question is, do we get the big D? Is it done, or is there anything that could be touched up? Yeah, Shepherd's high quality today. We're rocking with tracks you could put in a set, which I really like because they give me plenty of space to pull out ideas of what's working that we can recommend other people do. Max is here. What's up? Yes. I remember the earlier version of this. I was noticing that pulse is like whoa, 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 that bouncing feel. I want to check if there's a change log on here that we can look at. And this is a good moment to point out. Another thing you can do right is tell us the changes. In other words, what did you learn from feedback that you added to make it better? Kick drum mono up to 220. Took some sibilance out of the vocal in the chorus. I always need a reminder for vocal forward track. Push them up to the front. That's a great tip. Simple, but makes a big difference. I'm feeling it's done too. This is ready for mastering. I'm gonna try some high shelf EQ, which is, for this track, it's the equivalent of like when you get your food and put some salt on top to just make it saltier. That's what I'm gonna do right now. A little bit of the air up above 10K, 12K. Here's flat. And boost. Flat. So if I was mastering this, I would look for a little bit of brightness on the high frequencies, but in the 2 mix right here, nothing wrong with it. Hey Max, thanks for hopping in, and I appreciate the comments you've been writing in Discord. They're really, really good. Nice delay effects on the vocal. This is done, dude. This is sounding really good. Got the little egg shaker. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. I'm turning this up. I really like how the vocal is in the center and the synth is bouncing around it, and they all work together. I want to copy this track. Okay, I'm gonna just officially say I think this one is done. I'm not hearing anything that needs to change. But one thing I want to introduce as an idea for especially the people watching right now is masterclasses and sharing your project sessions. We've been toying with the idea, talking about it. The basic concept is that you take a track that's done, break open your project file, and share it with the group. Like even on the Facebook group, like the public, the general world of public. I would like to have one Ableton instrument rack that people could download free that's using Ableton devices, like with this synth lead or something. Possibly a project file where you show the arrangement or the instrument, the mix layout or something. Or maybe a video where you walk through and just say, here's the project, this is the first sound I did, here's how I built the ideas, that's what I did next, finally it's done. A few people have expressed interest in sharing their music, and I would love to have different styles of different producers, besides just me, to do workshops with. So maybe we could do a live video where you present your project and I ask questions to kind of pull out details that I think other people might notice. The situation is that everybody thinks, I'm a normal producer, I do the same thing, everybody does what I do. That's not the case at all. Every single producer has a totally different way of using Ableton. So I would like to present that and just show how flexible the program is and how widely weird you can get with your music to make some tips and stuff. All right, Max, watch the emails and stuff because next week might be on Saturday. But anyway, anybody who's watching who's interested in sharing projects, effects racks, instruments, mix tools, any kind of Ableton presets, please let me know. I would love to organize some masterclass workshop kind of thing to take your finished tracks and just take people into the making of it and be like, here's the track, it's released, here's how we made it, you can get this effects rack and play with it. And maybe even share the stems for like a little remix kind of thing. People like that a lot. It's a lot of fun. I like doing it too. And one more time, yeah, Shepherds, you've been talking about it too. You're the first one I was thinking of, especially because your techno is like so clean, but it has so many layers and it's distorted and it all works. That would be a good one to see inside. How do we get to the end of this track? And it almost has that Public Enemy breakbeat thing. Nice, nice, nice. All around. Scott, getting the claps. You guys talking about food. That's a great track. I think 2.3 is done. Put that up for mastering, please, and let us know where we can get a copy. You guys are making me hungry. Jeez. Okay, speaking of Shepherds, Erotin, some version 1, a little Terrence McKenna coming at you. Got EQ back to flat. Let's see what we have. Right in. No intro. Nope, don't need an intro. Oh, listen to how those hi-hats are changing. Scott, that was only like 3 weeks or something, right? You started that one while you were traveling, came back, got it done. A little louder on the Sheps. Nice. That new hi-hat. Yeah, man. Yeah, Terrence is not looking so good. That's a perfect example of cutting out the kick drum, taking one unique sound, pushing it up louder so it's like right in your face, like look at this sound, and then pulling it back in. Check out how that happened right here. Right there, that bubbly buzzing thing came right out to the front, then dropped back when the kick came in. I like the hi-hat rhythm. It's like... I want to say something, but I'll wait. Okay, one thing I'm noticing that there's a rumble, right? That's going on in between the bump of the kick drum. It's like boof, boof, boof. Listen to, it's like a micro timing rhythm of how that rumble comes back in to lead to the next kick, because it kind of sounds like there's a kick drum hit, like a single kick drum hit, and then every hit has like a lead in that's like whoop, whoop. You know, if you have a reverse kick drum that leads into the beat, it's like whoop, whoop. This part where there's kind of space in between the beats, I really hear that pulse of like, it's like whoop, whoop, leading you back into each beat, which makes a great rhythm. Right here. Whoop, 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 whoop. It's like you're getting sucked back into the beat. About 143 BPM. All right, John, thanks for hanging out. Keep up the good work. And thank you for moderating too. That's really helpful. So Shepherds, one note from before. Let me go back to this break. It's about the voice. The first entry of the voice, I didn't quite understand it. To have a lot of energy, right? I think that first vocal entrance could be just a little louder so it's a little more clear. It's not wrong, but I would push that voice a little bit louder. Let's see where we go. Nice sound design, tweaking some stuff. Got the pulse. This is awesome. And coming in for a landing. Okay, so for arrangement, I'm gonna pull something out as a tip that everybody could use, even if you're not making techno. The thing that makes the Shepherds tracks interesting is that the beats are going in very crisp sections where there's a hard beat, a little bit of a gap, and the beat comes back. You can see it like gap right there, gap right there. It's predictable enough to feel really good, but it doesn't get boring. So the rhythmic structure is super clear. But the thing that everybody should be doing that in some way or the other. The thing that I really like is that the sounds come in on long ramps and go out on long ramps. So it's always like something's bubbling and like, but you don't really hear it like, here is where the new sound enters and then it stops after 16 bars. It's not that kind of thing. If you listen to the way the track flows, it gives us this energy of like, you're always in the track, you're always being pulled through the sounds, and you're kind of like weaving through like a forest of sounds. You don't really know which one is going to come and go next, and they're all kind of intertwining. It's super cool. Listen to that fast one that's like, all of a sudden it's getting big right here, right? But if you try to pick out the exact moment when that sound enters, where does it enter? Right there? Maybe, but it's kind of a long fade before you become aware of that sound. So the technique you can use is when you're introducing a new sound, especially a mid-range synth, bring it in on a long intro, the volume fade, maybe a filter sweep to open it up, so that it becomes part of your consciousness, and you suddenly realize, oh my God, I'm in the middle of this crazy sound. How did I get here? Okay, right there, that high-pitched sound came in. Wow, wow, wow. And there's the the fast one, bubbly. I like that arrangement technique a lot. I think I might start using that some more. All right, cool. So I think I've talked enough about this one. And for version 1, that's pretty tight. If anybody has any low-end mix notes or anything, I'm in headphones, of course, and we're listening to SoundCloud. If you're in a place with monitors and you can hear this bumping on the bottom, let us know what you think. I try not to like make an ultimate judgment about the low end when I'm on feedback. It seems like it's working. Let's just go out to the ending. DJ Waters, version 1, playable. I agree. Okay, well, that was not exactly an outro, but it didn't really have an intro either. As long as you got a little loop at the end of the track so you can mix the next one in, you could work with that. Maybe do an intro and an ending, pick out one of the cool sounds and use it for an intro. My favorite part is right here. Kick drum drops out and you get that really, really feeling and hearing the details of that one sound by itself. So nice one, Shepherds. And also thank you to you for being a moderator and keeping the wild people from getting crazy. You know who you are. Sounds good in a car, Pioneer system. Good, passing the Pioneer test. Yeah, all right. So Cali Star, this is, we have a Mindbender master version and Machine Soul version, the Mindbender mix. This is another one that's up for review to be done. And that sounds like a master. Big kick, clean snare, comes out loud. Feels pro right from the beginning. Matt Schultz, strobe light, fog light, 10 kilowatt sound system in the basement.
It takes me. It takes me. It takes me. It takes me.
By the way, anybody watching, there is a link to our Discord server in the show notes for this episode. So click in, join us on Discord.
It takes me.
That vocal's nice and loud.
It takes me. It takes me.
All right, it's 9 o'clock. I'm going to try to get this done before too long to keep this watchable. Thanks for hanging out, everybody.
It takes me. It takes me.
There's some good comments on this one in Discord. Okay. There's a lot of good notes in Discord. Let's call this one done and check out the Mindbender version. I'm getting mixed up with the versions. Is this the Mindbender? All right, Ian. I don't think I have any notes on this track at all. I'm looking forward to the release on When Disco Goes Wrong, I believe. Yeah, Matt, Martin's masters, the Mindbender masters, they always sound loud, but they're not squashed. I think I might have pulled up a link twice or something. That says 24 days ago. And I think this one is the done one we should be reviewing. So, Morton, if you're still here, let me know the progress on this. There's going to be a Machine Soul mix, a Mindbender remix, and a Ben Hunt remix. And this sounds really good. I have no comment. And a nice tail on the reverbs right there. So sorry I got a little disorganized on the versions with that one. I was trying to play the before and after to show the final version, but I'm not sure that worked. So last, we're going to end up with Ben Hunt, another one of our moderators who's been putting tons of time in on updates and versions and getting some good releases out this year. So version 3 is a final we're going to review, and Ghost in the Machine is version 1. So let's start with version 1. Interesting sounds. Has a little bit of like an electro vibe. Oh. I could see actually people breakdancing to this, like modern breaks. Nice riser. That's what I like right there. We can focus on these two sounds, really get into them. No drums, cool riser. Coming in deadly with that kick drum. Boom, boom. So, good arrangement so far. I hear some little ear candy things. Those could be louder. Nice reverse cymbal that just mark a point in the track like that was 16 bars. Yeah, the kick is sitting nice. The bass line could maybe come down a little bit, and those high frequency synth bleeps could come up a little bit. It's a minor mix, but I hear some cool delay on those synth bleeps. That could really be out front horn. The riser's good. Ear candies are the icing on the cake. I heard one right there at 230, 228, right here. Right there at 229. Yeah, Ben, please make those louder. That's a cool sound. Good stereo field. Let's go back and check in mono. I'm kind of curious about that bass line, right? Here's mono. And stereo. There is a lot of a stereo space in the bass. But I still hear it okay when they collapse the mono. So Shepherds, the break maybe could be 8 bars shorter in here. I hear what you're saying. What I was feeling is this sound. That synth, I would get a filter moving on that one and change it over time because it's just kind of droning along. If you get any kind of filter and work with that sound, a high pass filter could be cool. Even the state variable filter where you flip between high pass notch and band pass and low pass and just kind of like morph it to give it that like would be one place to develop, to add something creative. So instead of a really long breakdown, we feel like, oh my gosh, I'm on a journey. So I guess that's a universal production tip. If you have a section of your song that feels like it's too long, solution 1 is cut it shorter, or solution 2 is develop something in that passage so that you hear a sound changing and it leads you through it to like get to another place, like a little bridge. That's where sound design gets to be really interesting because it can become part of your arrangement to hear a filter moving that gets you across like a section. Yeah, these are great tracks today. I'm enjoying these a lot. All right, one more ear candy to make louder. Right here. At 351, it goes, but wow. Check this out. Could you make that louder? But wow. I like acting out the sounds. I don't know how you could write that. But wow. And I notice in Ben's style lately, the kick drums have this ping on top. It's kind of a characteristic thing. 99.8% done. Ooh. And again, a cool little glitchy thing at the end. Click, click, click. All right, rest for a day or two, and then quick adjustment with fresh ears. I agree. So Ben, this one, for version 1, I mean, it's totally playable. I would take the bass line down a little bit, do a couple little tweaks with the filter in this space right here, and it doesn't need much. So if I could make a universal recipe out of this, sometimes when you get your skills together, you can crank out a track, make a mix, and have it 99% done to be playable. And then your task at that point is don't mess it up. Don't try to add a whole bunch of new stuff. Don't try to like change a whole bunch of stuff, and don't listen to it 50 million times until you get so tired of it that you can't hear anything. What you do is take a break for 2 days, come back, get some comments from other people, just notice in general what people say. And then if there's a few tweaks you need, make another mix and then send it to a mastering engineer who can give you an opinion on technically if there's a phase problem in the low end or whatever. But we're at the point where people could realistically have a finished track in 2 or 3 versions, which is really nice. Yep, Matt, minor details in the mix, more artistic than technical. So Ben, good job. And now version 3, I was expecting this one to be done. Maybe we're going to hear a mistake. Let's see. Also, it's 9:15. We're almost done. So again, the Discord link to join us is in the YouTube notes. Click in. There's a place you can get some free feedback and lots of interesting stuff you can engage with. same kind of a ping on the kick drum. You can hear it. This one sounds nice and bright. High end, low end, mid range, stereo field, dynamics, kind of checking all the boxes. Oh, Shepherds, that's a good comment. If you got the skills, you don't really have writer's block. I think I hear some Mindbender influence in this one with the acid lead. Totally working. Is this the track? It's like 107, 103 BPM. All right, Paul, thanks for hanging out. Nice effect, Ben. Yeah, this track is working. I think the low end is nice and heavy too. Check out on the spectrum, we got the kick drum down here at 48 hertz and these 3 bass line notes popping up above it. Look at how clear that is. There's the kick, whoomp, and bassline notes 1, 2, 3. Nice separation between the kick drum and bassline. That's what makes your mix feel good in the low end, when you can clearly hear the bassline and the kick drum without fighting for space. Space and delay in the break, yes. Yeah, Shepherds, the mid-range has a couple of bright spots where the lead is a little bit peaking. Maybe 800 hertz. Yeah, that's a good call. 500, 600, 800. Maybe those could get a little dip. I like that new percussion line. This is amazing, and I can totally hear that Ben has been working with Mindbender with that echoey delay on the acid lead kind of thing. Little vocal thing, little crash. It's great. It has the finishing touches. Oh, Matt, that could be reverb. Yes. Okay, so here's a production tip. If you're using a synth like this with an arpeggiator and a delay and a reverb, when you have too much like upper mid-range or middle mid-range building up, the first thing is EQ the source, which is the synth track. But the delay and the reverb returns could also have too much of that frequency. So sometimes you can get a good effect by EQing your returns so they don't multiply too much and thicken that frequency like at 900 or 1000 hertz. With a broad bell, low Q. All right. That's going to be it for today. What I've been trying to do is play some tracks that have something we can pull out and use as a lesson, as a production tip, or a technique that everybody could apply. So you don't have to make this kind of music. You can still use this technique of EQing your delay return or EQing your reverb. And I really like to hear the progress people are making. People have been coming through with new versions that are playable, which is super exciting, and getting some tracks finished, getting some tracks released. It's super exciting. So what I want you to do, anybody out there in replay land who's watching all the way to the end, join us on Discord. The link is in the YouTube notes. You're going to come in here. You're going to see new members. You'll see people with all these little things doing the wave. And then introduce yourself, say hi, tell us your name, where you're from, what kind of music you make, and then come on over to the free feedback channel. There's Discord guides right here on this channel. So if you need some help understanding what to do, come up onto the top. There's a little video about it. And then you can post the track for feedback. You can give other people some comments. And you know what happens that makes this group amazing? It's the relationships. When you give somebody else comments, you actually listen to their music, you have some feelings about it, you tell the other person what you're feeling with timestamps to mark that feeling to that moment in the sound, they're going to love it. And they're going to come back and listen to your music and give you some comments in return. Next thing you know, you have a production buddy. Next thing you know, you have a production crew who's going to help you make your music better. So when we're giving feedback, it's criticism, but it's constructive criticism. It's like, I heard a little problem. Here's how you could fix it to make it better. That is what it's all about. And then, of course, we want you to take the feedback, apply it, make a new mix, bring the mix back, tell us what you did with a change log so we know what you updated. And then that's how you get tracks done. And the proof is that people are coming out with version 1, version 2, version 3 is mastered and getting done. So I'm super psyched with the progress in the group. Thank you, everybody, for being part of it. Special thanks to our moderators down here on our moderators channel. Well, I don't want to show that. It's a private channel. You know who you are. You're doing awesomely. And I'm glad the group is growing. So that's going to be it for me today. Next week, I'll try to do a feedback stream on Saturday for people who are busy during the week. If you have any questions, you can find me, steve@mixatexture.com. And the last thing is, as always, you can check out the courses on the Mixatexture members site. These are some Ableton tutorials that, let me show you the public view. Ableton tutorials where you learn by doing hands-on activities inside Live. It's a special kind of tutorial called the session lesson. That's a lesson built inside an Ableton project. So you open it up, press play, you hear instructions, you get activities, you do some hands-on exercises to actually learn by doing it. With mixing, escape the 8-bar loop, sidechain compression, I'm always updating the site with more things. And we always like to recommend free presets to sign up and get some Ableton racks, bass instruments, effects units, mix tools, spark some new ideas. These are free and they're waiting for you. Scott, giving feedback in critical listening makes your own music better because you know what to listen for. Yeah, that's right. When you listen to someone else's music, you develop this skill to detach your ego. You don't care. It's not your music. So you can critically listen and think, I would do that a little different. When you learn that skill, you can listen to your own tracks. And it doesn't matter that you spent 3 hours on the synth, or it doesn't matter that you bought a new sample pack. When you can detach from it and hear what's really there in the music, you'll be able to hear your own track and be like, you know what? I was a little too excited about that new sample pack. Maybe I don't need to throw all those samples in. Or maybe you could think, yeah, I did spend 50 hours on this sound. Maybe I could use it in a different track because it's not serving this track perfectly well. It can be really hard to cut a sound out of your track after you spent a lot of time on it. That's a big mistake people make. So giving other people feedback helps you get a little bit of a detached perspective to give accurate feedback to yourself and let go of stuff that's not working. If it's not working, let it go. Or as they say, if it's not making the track better, that sound is going to be making the track worse. So that's it for me from this week. Have a fantastic weekend. I'm going to a little show this weekend. I'll try and get some video and get some pictures to show you what it's like in my world. And please, if you're playing anything, if you're doing any gigs, take some video, show us the room, show us the audience, let us hear the sound, bring us into your world so we can see where you are using this music. That's the end result. That's what I want to see. All right, any questions? Get in touch, steve@mixatexture.com. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you all later.